I'll let you take it away from here.
Awesome. Can you see my screen, JC?
Yes, I can.
Sweet. So hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Amanda Sabria. I presented here maybe 6 months ago now, and I presented Staat as more of a reporting and analytics tool. But as we've gotten people onto Staat and gotten customers on, we have iterated to their feedback, which has been more of a collaborative sort of operating system. So if you are running an engineering team, if you're on an engineering team, even as a developer, and you have a very complex product that you're building, we know that we're all using, an endless amount of dev tools that can be multiple code repositories, that can be build tools, and then we're also using multiple project management systems, a lot of times within the same team, but definitely within the same organization. Project management systems doesn't necessarily mean I'm using Jira and Clubhouse, even though we've run into that as well. It typically means there's a team that's using anywhere between 1 and 5 project boards for one team. And so it's interesting that we're using all of these tools, and yet it's still hard to understand and manage what's happening. There's a lot of frustration between engineering and product managers towards developers, but there's also a lot of frustration between from developers to engineering managers and product managers. So I have a background in product management. I felt it. And then my CTO has an extensive background in software development, and he's felt it. Like, he's hated his managers, and I've been very frustrated with developers. And so we sort of came together and put our heads together and was like, could we create a tool that creates sort of an operating system where we eliminate all of the noise from all of the granular tools that you're using and make it really, really easy to spot and eliminate bottlenecks within the team, and then manage comments, mentions, all within one place across all of the tools. So that's exactly what Staat is. Our goal is to make it really, really easy to see and collaborate across dev tools and project management boards without the noise. We specialize in 3 things right now, and that's centralized notifications, automated updates, and then streamlined and engineering communication. So a large part of the feedback that we got is, I'm getting mentioned on Slack, I'm getting mentioned on GitHub PRs, I'm getting mentioned on Jira, and I don't have enough time in the day to go through all those mentions and reply. So how do we make it very collaborative and build in engineering specific communication tools to help them do that? So that's coming soon, but I'm gonna actually show you where we are today and show you the tools. So I'm gonna go home. So this is Staat. JC, again, I'm just gonna check because I know we had difficulties last time. Can you see my browser?
Yep, we can. You look great.
Perfect. So these are all the teams that I'm managing right now. We make it really, really easy. On your onboarding, you would connect Jira. Eventually, you'll be able to connect GitHub. And then you would simply come here. You would add a team. I'm going to say Staat demo. And then one thing that we really wanted to specialize in is being able to add multiple project boards, whether they were Kanban or Scrum, to one team hub, right? And so I'm able to see across all of those project boards and bottle all of that information into one hub. So you get here, and then I can easily just load my screen. And right now it's pulling all of the data from all of those boards. And then now I'm in my team hub. So every morning we use this one within our team. This is actually our team. So I get up and I'm able to see what notifications that need my attention right away, right? So right now we have a blocker. And then there's also a new discussion. So I'm able to see, what comments or what discussions within Jira may need my attention. I'm able to see that really easily. Next is our stand-up view. So a piece of feedback that we got is a lot of times people are working across time zones, and once the manager gets up, they want to be able to see where work stands. And so right here, we do it for you automatically. We're able to ingest in all of your swim lanes and essentially tell you what's happened in the last 24 hours. And then that way you guys can talk about it as a team. We do surface additional information like canceled work. So if an engineer was working late at night and he canceled something, or they wanted the manager to know, we're able to surface all that information here. We can collect things like bugs and stories and epics and subtasks. It all shows right here, and I'm able to see it. Every 24 hours, this updates, so it gives a great view, and it really works well with stand-ups. Next is key issues. So we wanted to make it really easy for managers and developers when they're sharing their screen with us right now. We're making share capabilities soon. But we wanted to make it easy for managers to track their most important issues from highest priority or highest point if you're using story points, and then also blockers. Another thing that we'll show here that doesn't show right now because we don't have that is unplanned work. So any scope change, being able to really monitor scope creep through your sprints or your Kanban work cycles is really, really important. And so we show it here. And then very quickly, lastly, we pull in your entire Jira board. This is a request we got of, I don't want to have to leave Staat if I don't have to. So we pull in the entire board here. So that way, if you have any questions, you can easily just see kind of where things stand. We also make it easy to click out and look in deeper into the tickets and the issues into Jira itself. So that's where we stand today. It's our first version, essentially. Would love feedback, would love questions. And so that is Staat.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing the product. Feel free, again, I mentioned if anyone does have questions for Amanda, I've got one here. Oh, well, John's got one. How is the customer onboarding going?
Customer onboarding is going well. We're doing it all one-to-one right now. So our goal is within, the next month to make it completely self-serve, where we don't need to be on the call. Right now, it technically could be self-serve. I think we're doing a lot of studying around how hard is it to get Jira integrated because we had to build in some extra steps for security purposes. So it's going well. We're learning a lot. It's interesting that not many people get on and request analytics. And when we had them, they requested more collaborative tools. So that's what we are building towards right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I see David here is also, you guys are both available afterwards. You'll be kind of around as well.
Yep, definitely.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see here. Anastasia, did you have okay. I was wondering if she had a question. Can you share your pricing model a little bit?
Yes.
Amanda? One last question.
Yeah, so right now it's free for the first 30 days for our first early users. And then it's $50 per team hub. So, and that's for all of our early users, that is unlimited connection. So you can connect as many project boards and eventually code repositories as you will for the first year.
Awesome. And are you guys bootstrapped?
Yes, we are bootstrapped to this point.
Okay. Got it. All right. Now, how do they get a hold of you? What are you doing beta, right? You said how, maybe you can give us or put in the chat if they want to test out or get that free 30 days.
Yes. So if you want to test it out, we would love for you to test it out. You can either email me directly, amanda@staat.co, or you can just go to our website, sign up, make sure you input Jira, that you're using Jira and GitHub, because that's what we're connected to right now. And you'll get a link from us, an email that gives you a Calendly link, and then you'll schedule your onboarding from there.
That's awesome. All right. Well, hopefully everyone can maybe give Staat a try. There's a few more questions if you guys want to kind of answer via text, but we are going to invite Stephen on next, Stephen Gladney of OrderNerd. He's got a couple of his co-founders here as well. But thank you, Amanda. We're so glad. And, you guys can chat with her afterwards. She'll be around.
Awesome.
But thank you, Staat. Next up, we have OrderNerd, Stephen. You've got Justin as well as Marco, but why don't you kind of introduce yourself, Stephen, and then go for, if you're sharing your screen, we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So my name's Stephen. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of OrderNerd. Simply put, we simplify technology for restaurants, allowing them to be restaurants again. We started the company back in 2019. Justin and I met at SalesLoft. If you're not familiar with SalesLoft, local SaaS company, just did Series E. On the same team as Justin. I was learning how to code, so I was looking for coding advice, and Justin was looking for sales advice for his previous endeavor. And so we began meeting once a week at night to sort of do co-mentorship, and quickly learned that we were both aspiring entrepreneurs and agreed to go into business together. And the question was simply then, well, what do we build? What problem in the world do we solve? Justin went to a restaurant one day, Farm Burger, over in Peachtree Corners, and he looked over and saw all of these tablets on a wall, and they were flashing and beeping, and he pulled his phone out and took a picture and sent me this text. And he said, I think this is the problem that we should solve. I began paying attention to it and seeing it all over Atlanta. And so what's happened is all of these online ordering platforms and third-party delivery, like your Uber Eats, your Grubhub, your DoorDash, et cetera, restaurants are working with multiple providers, and they're getting integration in the form of a tablet, so an actual piece of hardware, as long as a piece of software to manage those orders. And you can do the math, and the more providers that you have, the more hardware and software applications you have to deal with. And so the problem that's been created is now the restaurant's job, the staff, has become far more complex. Restaurants have literally hired a person just to run these tablets in the restaurant. Not to mention that the same problem happens in the back office, where when the owners are trying to get a handle on their sales numbers, they have to log into 4 to 5 different websites to look at 5 different dashboards with different data sets. They cannot export the data, so they can't get a clear visibility of their revenue in one place. Updating menus across these apps has become a complete nightmare. If you want to make one change to a menu, you've got to do it 4 to 5 times on 4 to 5 different websites. Not to mention, if you have multiple locations, you then multiply that times the number of locations. It becomes a huge nightmare. And finally, the restaurant staff has to manually transfer the data from these third-party apps into the point of sale, which is slow and error-prone. And so the solution that we have developed is to aggregate all of these providers into one system, give the staff one app on one interface to interact with, give the owners one pane of glass for all of their revenue visibility, give them one place to manage a menu, and then finally automate the order entry into the point of sale to increase speed and accuracy. We have built the app. It is live today. So rather than just show you this slide, I actually have the app running here. So you can see this is an Android emulator. All of the orders will appear here on the left-hand side, and the new ones flash in yellow. It tells you which company it's from right there. You click it. All of the information is provided here about the order, including the items ordered, any kind of instructions, comments, etc. They can adjust prep time. They can confirm orders, mark them ready. We show them the customer's name, the customer's phone number, the driver photo, name, phone number, and how far away they are from the restaurant. They can do things like manage the menu. If they need to mark something out of stock, for example, they can go to the menu and say that we ran out of, I'm just going to pick something like, I don't know, maybe eggplant Parmesan. So I go here to the menu, click this, mark it out of stock. It's now out of stock on all the applications. So we've simplified the workflow into one interface and one process for everything. I also mentioned that the owners have a similar problem in the back office, where all of their reporting is living on different websites and different dashboards. So we've built a unified dashboard where the owner can see all of the sales revenue and orders from all the services in one place from beginning to end. So gross minus taxes, tips, the commission these companies take, all the way to net payout. And again, here's the actual live dashboard. You can see that it shows you all of your revenue across all of your services. You can slice and dice this however you want to. So if you want to see a day, a week, a month, a year, whatever date range you care about, you can look at specific locations if you have multiple locations. And if you wanted to, focus in on one particular provider, you can zoom in that way as well. So really, whatever data set you're trying to see, you have everything in one pane of glass here. We estimate the market size is just over 500,000 restaurants. There are about 700,000 in the US. What I found very interesting was that pre-COVID, 77% used third-party online ordering or delivery. So this is not going to go anywhere once COVID is over. Our pricing model is extremely straightforward. We charge $75 a month for the single tablet solution. And then if you want to add POS integration, it's $125 a month. We don't do tiers or kind of a la carte things. We just keep it very, very simple to make it an easy yes for the restaurant. We do negotiate down to 50 and 100 if you have multiple locations. We've been doing this since the fall of 2019. We got our first customer actually December 23rd. We're currently in 72 locations. That is me doing it part-time with a day job. We have 4% churn all time. Our customers are very, very loyal to us. Once we get it in there, it's very sticky. And then we are projecting to be in over 1,000 locations by the end of the year. We're basing that off of partnerships with 2 point of sale solutions and 2 national franchises. And lastly, here's the team. So I'm Stephen Gladney. I've got 12 years of experience in sales. 7 of that is to restaurants. I worked at Scout Mob, if you're familiar with Scout Mob, sort of learned the ropes there of restaurants in that endeavor. I've actually been in product management since then, competitive intelligence, and I was an engineer for about 1.5 years. So I've got a wide variety of experience, but honing in on the sales here. We've got Justin, who's our tech lead. He has 20 years in software development, and he has extensive experience specifically in building integrations, which is the key part of this solution. And then finally, we brought on Marco this January. We actually interviewed Marco as a developer, but then learned he had huge aspirations as an entrepreneur and really wants to focus on building a healthy organization. And we knew we'd be selling ourselves short if we only brought him in on the context as an engineer. So he has experience in software development and hypergrowth startups like SalesLoft and Calendly. And Marco is now our 3rd co-founder. That is it for me.
This is awesome. So cool to see. I've got some great strong comments in the chat section. So a lot of folks, can you tell us a little bit about your customer acquisition? So you said you're part-time. How is that kind of going? Maybe talk a little bit. Sounds like you're getting some good traction.
Yeah, I should say
how are you doing it?
Yeah, I should say I was part-time. So I actually put in my 2 weeks notice at SalesLoft. I guess it was 4 weeks ago. So my last day was 2 weeks ago, and I'm now doing it full-time. We are completely bootstrapped. And so I am a one-man sales team, and that means I cold call, I demo, I close, I onboard, I do everything, right? And we've taken a very much boots on the ground approach because that's what I know. What I would love to be able to do if we can, build some capital is to build a team, right? I'd love to hire like an SDR type role, an implementation agent to get this process very streamlined. Because I love doing the whole process because I get to have it from beginning to end and see the entire customer journey and build trust. But obviously we're limited in our bandwidth if it's one person. So my goal is to build a team that can streamline that process.
That's awesome. So that would be maybe your next hire, you think?
I saw John's question. I kind of built it into that answer. Yeah. If I had my pick,
I was like, aha.
Yeah. SDR
awesome.
and account manager for sure.
Well, and I know you got got a little sales experience there with SalesLoft. Of course, you all do. What is Jay was kind of asking, can you elaborate on the arrangement with the POS provider?
I can't get into too many details, but the idea, so we're an API driven platform. And whereas we are building to the APIs of the big players like your Squares and your Clovers of the world, we've had several smaller point of sale companies actually reach out to us and want to utilize our API to build an integration to the delivery apps. So almost the inverse of the other way, right? And then they plan to then go and sell the integration, probably white labeled under their POS branding, through like a licensing agreement with us.
Yeah. Okay. And someone said, how can they contact you? Justin's on it with giving all your contact details. One quick thing, what's your biggest barrier to growth? And what is the one piece of feedback from customers you want to add to the product?
You froze, Jason.
There. Oh, nice. I'm trying to get James' question in there. What is your biggest barrier to growth? And what is the one piece of feedback for customers you want to add to the product?
Yeah, I think the biggest barrier right now is just, like I said, the bandwidth of the sales team, right? We need more bandwidth and capacity to contact more. I mean, we have something like an 83% close rate once we get a demo with a restaurant. The problem is very simple and straightforward. It's a low-cost solution. It's an easy yes or no. It's simply just getting enough deals in the pipeline to grow at a scalable rate. And so really it's building the team right now. We're, like I said, we're completely bootstrapped. And so, funding all this is becoming an increasingly difficult challenge for us.
Do you also have plans to raise soon then?
We are talking to several people. That I will be honest that we're not the only player in this space. There are several companies out of California, Chicago, that are currently already funded. And so we're going to be playing catch up. But we do believe that we have the better solution based on what we've seen from their solutions and what we've heard from restaurateurs who have used those in the past. We believe there's an opportunity to go to battle with them and win.
That's awesome. Yes, I love the confidence and we have faith, so that's great. Well, if you guys, you'll be around afterwards in case there's more questions, Stephen?
For sure.
Cool. All right, well, thank you, Stephen. OrderNerd, check it out, everybody. I'm gonna also now invite Ty. I think he has joined us, Ty with Grayscale. If he wants to pop on his video. Yes. Hi, Ty. welcome.
Jesse, thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah. I'll let you go ahead and share your screen if you've got, take it away from here. This is Ty with Grayscale.
Perfect. Thanks, JC. And good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking a few minutes with me this morning. I have a 4-year-old running around the background, so she might join us at some point. Yeah, so I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Grayscale. I want to just orient you all for a few minutes to our world of corporate recruiting or talent acquisition, as we call it. I'm going to kind of take you through a quick journey into some of the challenges that our buyers experience, and then talk about sort of where Grayscale comes in and some of the problems we solve. And then I'll spend some time toward the end talking about traction and progress and just a bit more about the mechanics of the business and how it works. But we'll start high level and kind of drill in from there. So to kind of start off, again, we serve mid to large companies. And the problem we look to solve, particularly with big brands, these are brands like Wayfair, Amazon Pharmacy, Warby Parker. They all share a similar problem. They're dealing in really high volume recruiting. So that means that they're dealing in hundreds, if not thousands, of openings at any time they have to fill. And the number of applicants they're getting per job are typically in the hundreds, north of 1,000 per opening. So the numbers start really adding up. And so what happens is recruiting teams start to really face bandwidth issues. Again, the average recruiter is going to be engaging with 500 to 1,000 candidates at a time minimum when kind of trying to drive the process forward. Think, for Wayfair, think their warehouse hiring, right? Just crazy high volume, especially during COVID when they're just, going gangbusters as most e-com store companies are. Amazon Pharmacy, same thing. So these bandwidth issues really become acute problems for recruiting teams that really bog them down. This leads to process breakdowns, right? So this is things like candidates not showing up for interviews, candidates just falling through the cracks, not being followed up with because there's just so much volume, so much noise going on. It's just really hard to stay organized, stay on top of things, create a great candidate experience. Everything starts to break down. And so when those breakdowns happen, what that results in is ballooning time to hire. So time to hire is the holy grail metric in recruiting. And essentially, it's how long is your vacancy open? How long is your job open? And corporate talent acquisition teams are sort of held to hitting certain goals for time to fill, because as you can imagine, let's use the case of Wayfair. If their facilities are not staffed up appropriately, their throughput, what they're able to do from a business standpoint is throttled, right? So it really impacts their bottom line. So making sure they have the right people in the right seats at the right time is critical for these businesses, right? And so This is where Grayscale comes in. So our goal is to help standardize and streamline that process for these high volume talent acquisition teams. And we do so in a few ways. The Grayscale platform, everything we build is SMS first. So it's all, mobile first, texting first. We think deeply about how to automate really high touch experiences so that a recruiter is able to engage with far more candidates going through the process, and they're able to hire much faster as a result. So combination of texting and automation allows us to do that. This visual here, I'm going to break down in a moment, kind of talk about some key ways we do that. But we're seeing, my co-founder and I started this journey about 2.5 years ago. And we're seeing some great case studies come to light, like Amazon Pharmacy here. They were pre-Grayscale. An average recruiter was able to handle between 100 and 200 candidates at any given time, and now their ratio is 1 recruiter to 1,000 candidates that they're able to consistently maintain. And so they've actually been able to, as they've grown, they haven't had to grow their recruiting team as a result. So they're able to kind of handle a lot more. And it's helped to really streamline the process pretty effectively. So some of the type of companies we work with, again, these are some of the brands that I mentioned, like Wayfair, but we also work with great brands in the healthcare space, like Bayada. Our 2 biggest verticals we serve are healthcare and e-com. Retail is really starting to come online now as well, more brick and mortar traditional retail. But it really runs the full gamut for us. If there is an acute high volume hiring need, whether it be call center hiring or warehouse or a manufacturing facility or on and on, Grayscale can really plug in nicely and help to streamline the process for those use cases. And then what we found is usually once we're in there for a high volume need, we kind of seamlessly get rolled out across the other areas of the business that maybe still have problems. They aren't as acute as the high volume needs are. But we've seen that with most of our customers. We start with the acute high volume problem and then get kind of spread out from there. So a couple of things I just want to kind of drill in on, as you all are probably very, very aware, but I just wanted to kind of touch on, like, first of all, why does texting even matter in the world of corporate recruiting, right? Traditionally, a channel like SMS was thought to be in the world of, corporate recruiting or talent acquisition rolls into HR. HR is typically a very conservative part of the business, and texting historically has been sort of off limits for corporate recruiters to use. And that shift is really changing. And the reason is you look at, if you're trying to drive a process forward, there's no better channel than SMS. You're going to get almost all of your messages are going to open. Your response rates are going to jump from, traditionally in recruiting, your email response rate's about 2%. With SMS, it's 37. Actually, post-COVID, we've seen that jump up to about 51% response rate. And then response times are hovering around 6 minutes. So again, if you're dealing in high volume and you're trying to get candidates through your process as quickly as possible, SMS is the channel for you. And so that's why we start with SMS first. And then we kind of design these workflows to kind of automate all these touch points throughout the process. And so I'm going to spend maybe 30, 45 seconds kind of drilling into some of the ways that we allow recruiting teams to automate some of those touch points. And I'll give some examples as we go. So let's use the Wayfair example. So Wayfair uses Grayscale for some of the top of the funnel stuff to get the word out about new openings that they have. They have talent pools, which are candidates they've been kind of keeping in touch with that they haven't hired yet. They'll reach out to candidates about new openings there. They even allow candidates, we've got a product called Text for Jobs that candidates can text in and apply via SMS. And all of that helps to drive more candidates in the door, top of funnel. And then once they're in the funnel, meaning they've applied, then we're designed to, Grayscale kind of powers all the communication via SMS throughout the process. So you apply to Amazon Pharmacy, you get a text message, hey, after maybe a 2-hour delay that says, hey, Zach here with Amazon Pharmacy. Thanks so much for applying. Please click here to start your XYZ details as part of our process. And they'll start stage 1 of the process. Then all the recruiter has to do with each candidate is just advance them in their ATS, which is like the system of record in recruiting. So it's like the salesforce.com for corporate recruiting teams. And so they'll just advance them throughout the process. Grayscale handles all the communication points throughout the process, sends out interview reminders before the interview, make sure they confirm their interview. Kind of through the process, we send out candidate NPS surveys to kind of get a little pulse check on how effective the process is from the candidate's vantage point. So you're getting ongoing feedback, and then there are even like delays in the process. So if a recruiter hasn't reached back out to you in a matter of days or a week, oftentimes as a candidate we've probably all we applied for a job and a recruiter reaches out and then we never hear back again. We've sort of designed this to where no one falls through the cracks. If there's delays, we want to surface that and make sure the candidate gets notified with an update. Again, and all this feels like it's coming from the recruiter. And it doesn't stop on hire with high volume recruiting. It really goes into onboarding because they're incentivized not just to make the hire, but to get the candidates to starting on the job in day 1. Right. And so in order to do that for high volume recruiting, it doesn't end with them signing the offer letter because there's a big drop off between offer letter signed and start date. Right. And so we kind of feed into the onboarding process and kind of power part of that as well to make sure the candidate's getting notifications week before, day before, morning of the interview. So they know where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, to confirm they have reliable transportation, all these things that can kind of get in the way of them starting on day 1. And then you can even, we even have it to where you can follow up with candidates, post a week, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days for kind of satisfaction survey post hire. So again, Grayscale is kind of designed to just create a frictionless process throughout to kind of keep candidates engaged and to drive the process forward. So that's a bit on some of the use case and kind of where we are. As far as, in the last 27 months, we recently hit a big milestone in SaaS. We just crossed the $1 million in ARR mark, which we were very excited to hit last month. This is just sort of a chart of our MRR build month over month. We can talk more about that if you all care to do so, but just kind of a quick snapshot on where we are as a business. We sell all annual contracts. We're starting to lock into multi-year contracts now that we haven't perfected our pricing model, but we've certainly improved it to the point we feel comfortable locking into multi-year deals. And then one of the beautiful parts about this business is we're pretty capital efficient. So we've been able to invoice upfront in full for all but maybe one of our customers. We've been able to invoice and collect upfront. So, on a, 24K, 36K contract, we're able to realize that revenue all upfront, which has been really great to kind of fuel growth for the business, which has afforded us to not have to raise as much capital as a result. So, and I'll talk more about our capital, what we've raised so far in a second. And we're sitting at, this slide needs a little bit of updating. We're actually about 140 paying customers as of right now. And that's kind of mid-market to enterprise customers. And we're really making a big push right now to move further up market. We see a lot more opportunity in like the true enterprise space. Obviously, you can't start a company. Well, you can start a company and start servicing enterprise out of the gate, but it's a little bit more challenging and it's a little more cost prohibitive. And so we've kind of focused on mid-market. And now we're really starting to make that push to more enterprise. I mentioned Wayfair. They're one of our larger customers, sitting at about 20,000 employees. And we're trying to kind of start serving, we define enterprise as north of 10,000 employees. And so that 10 to 50,000 employee kind of segment is what we're really focused on serving well right now and making a big push there. So looking at acquisition channels for the business. So about 60% of our revenue today has originated from partner referrals. So early on, we sort of forged some partnerships with some applicant tracking systems. Again, those are the the big systems of record in our world. So again, think Salesforce.com for corporate talent acquisition, right? And so this is where all of the candidate data is stored and organized and processed. And so those systems, there's a couple that we've gone really deep with from a partner standpoint. They send referrals our way. And that's helped to kind of fuel our growth in a pretty capital efficient way as well. Those two ATSs are Greenhouse and Lever. And then we've started adding some additional, we'll be adding some additional partner channels, and then we'll be adding some additional integrations as well to help kind of expand that acquisition channel. And then, jumped ahead. Sorry, let me get back here. Outbound prospecting represents now about 20% of our revenue generated via outbound efforts. That's a real focal point for us right now, is improving that percentage. And we're doing a ton of experimentation and kind of building out our prospecting function at the moment. And then marketing is about 20% of our acquisition, represents about 20% of our acquisition as well. And that's through, we've been making a big push on webinars. Webinars have really been working for us. So we're going to double down and do a minimum. We want to do a minimum of a internally hosted webinar a month, and then doing one with a partner a month as well. But we've seen early signs that is a very effective channel for us to drive qualified leads in the door. And then LinkedIn ads, because our buyer lives on LinkedIn all day. We found that advertising on LinkedIn is a very effective channel for us as well, for getting the word out about Grayscale. So one thing not in a slide, well, I'll kind of mention the team. So it's myself and my co-founder, Hubert Liu, is our CTO. We're currently a team of 7. So that would be outside of the founding team. We have 2 account executives, one kind of marketing / SDR person. We have a customer success manager. And then we have another engineer as well. And so we'll be growing the team this year, and in a couple of different areas, which I can touch more on. But yeah, and then last thing I'll mention, I don't have a slide here represented, but as far as capital we've raised so far, so we've raised a convertible note a year back. All in, we've raised $390K. And we're in the season of taking a little bit more capital right now, just to help continue to fuel growth for us. So that's a snapshot on Grayscale. Thanks so much. Hello, JC.
This is so awesome. Hi, congrats on the million. That's a big milestone. We had some good comments about that. Are you able to show maybe a little bit of the product? Like, could you just do a quick, do you have a testing module? Just, we got a question about the admin side of things. I don't know if you've got, I think it'd be great to see if we've got a few minutes to share that. Is that doable?
Yeah. Let me pull this up here. Yeah. So, you can engage with, recruiters engage with Grayscale in a couple of ways. Actually, so what I'm going to show you here is our desktop version. We also, we have a Chrome extension as well. And a lot of our recruiters will just use us via Chrome extension inside of their ATS. And so, which is kind of worked well because it allows them to stay right inside their ATS without having to leave. But our desktop version here is, I'll just kind of orient you to sort of what, how, the components of Grayscale. So obviously, Grayscale as a messaging tool and an automation tool. We start with some of the basics. You got your inbox where you're engaging with candidates. So again, a lot of the communication is automated, but whenever someone kind of deviates from the happy path, as we call it, where they need human interaction, that will engage a recruiter, and the appropriate recruiter will jump in, they'll get a message, and they'll back and forth with the candidate, right? So it's always keeping the recruiter at the focal point. This is, we're not automating end to end to where the candidate's never going to communicate with a recruiter. But we start everything with automation. The process is driven through automation, and then the recruiter kind of jumps in and with manual communication where appropriate. And so, quick
question there. Are you able, how do you balance that? One question was, how do you balance the SMS with in-person and live interactions? Is that surfaced by the software, or then it pings your recruiter?
Yeah, well, so recruiters can come in, and the way we're automating right now, I mean, it's quite basic intentionally, so that recruiting teams can quickly come in, set up automations, or we call playbooks, and then off they go, right? So there's not a lot of setup here. Like this is not, this will become, we'll kind of be weaving in some intelligence to this over time, but right now it's intentionally set up to be very simple for, recruiting teams to come in and then make certain, set up certain rules to apply automations to, right? So they're going to select which categories of jobs or job. They can determine triggers for when communications are going to fire, right? So that can be off of things like a stage change, which again, think of the example of Salesforce. You've got your funnel and you're moving your deal flow from stage to stage. Same way in recruiting. So there's stage changes, and with each stage, there's going to be a new action needed. So recruiters will come in and just map out maybe a half dozen different automations that are going to kind of power those touch points throughout the process. And if the candidate doesn't have follow-up questions, all of it's just automated. And then if they do have questions or need assistance, they'll just reply, and we route those responses back to the appropriate recruiter, right? So whoever that appropriate recruiter is going to be assigned via that automation, and we'll get that correspondence in their inbox. So this is something where the automation component of what we do is something that that we're really doubling down on right now. And so recruiters with a couple, half dozen automation rules or playbooks can really kind of automate end to end their process pretty seamlessly. So hopefully that helps at least shed some light on sort of how we think about, or at least what we're doing right now.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, I want to be mindful of everyone's time here. If anyone has any more questions, hi, how do they get a hold of you? Or is there any, are you trying to make some connections here? Or are you needing any connections from the group today?
Yeah, well, we're hiring. We're hiring in sales, and if you know anyone that is looking for an account executive role here in Atlanta, please let me know. Best way to contact me is either on LinkedIn or via email. And my email I'll just drop in the chat, but it's just ty@grayscaleapp.com. But that is sort of where we are right now, and we'll be continuing to build out the sales org over the coming months.
This is awesome. Well, it's good to see all the traction. I've been loved seeing it over the years. So congrats on the progress so far. We're glad you could join us, and thanks for sharing about Grayscale.
Yeah, thanks for having me, JC. I had a lot of fun.
Of course. Well, y'all, I want to invite everyone back on. If you guys want to turn your video on, we've got 2 minutes. So if anyone has any needs or leads, I love doing that screenshot at the end where especially because we cannot take live photos. So I want to, if you guys, while you're turning your videos on, if you have a need or you have something that you can offer to this group, feel free to chat it. But I'm going to try and get a couple snapshots. We love these photos. I know you all do. So if you can, if everyone's got their videos on, if you'd like, I'm going to count to 3 and take a quick snapshot. And I'll do it twice because I've got a lot of folks here. So I'll count to 3, look beautiful, smiles, all of the things. All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. I'm going to do one more. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I got them. That looks amazing. If anyone needs anything or has anything, needs or leads today, please drop it in the chat. Thank you so much, Amanda, Stephen, Justin, Marco, and Ty. We loved hearing all these things. Hopefully you guys can connect with them in the future on LinkedIn. If you guys are looking for an account position, sales, hopefully a lot of traction is going to be happening after today's meeting. And this will be online, hopefully in the next couple of days, if you guys want to go back and take a look as well. So without, I don't see any other needs and leads, so I'll let you guys go, but I appreciate I appreciate y'all being here, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, JC.
Thanks, JC.
Yes, yes. See you guys.